I can't see what your hat says.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. And today we're going to talk about how people make their decisions in life. If you listen to the secular community or the atheist community, a lot of them will tell you that the way they make their decisions is because of logic and reasoning. They make their decisions based on demonstrable and empirical evidence. They use the scientific method. That's how they come to the conclusion that something is real or not real.
Yeah, that's about right.
Or something is true or isn't true.
Okay, yeah, still with you.
Or whether or not they like vanilla or whether or not they like chocolate.
Wait, sorry, what? Say that again?
Or whether or not they like vanilla or whether or not they like chocolate.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard.
And I'm going to prove that in a minute, okay? First and foremost, let's consider something. Let's talk about that ice cream cone of vanilla and chocolate.
I bet you I can guess what G-Man's favorite flavor is.
When you go to the store, do you consider everything about the ice cream cone, about whether or not you're lactose intolerant? When you get that craving for ice cream, do you go shopping for that ice cream or that brand based on how much milk they put in it versus cream versus sugar? Do you go do that considering how much weight you will gain if you actually buy some ice cream? No, you don't.
If this is what G-Man means by using logic when buying ice cream, I really don't think he understands what logic is.
You're making an emotional decision when you go about buying that ice cream.
Now I think he doesn't understand what emotional means either.
Because when you get that craving for that ice cream, it's going to be because of past memories, not because of your research or how bad ice cream is. It's going to go based on past memories of how good that chocolate or vanilla ice cream tastes.
G-Man has a point, because this chocolate atheist is delicious. I can taste the hypocrisy in like every bite. Oh god, so good.
But that's not all. When you go out there and you go shop for your new car, granted, I can't say all of you are like this, but most of you, when you get a car, you want something, especially when you're young, you want something that's going to look good, to the young ladies or if you're a lady, maybe to the men in your family. You know what I mean? I guess women are, and then again, they make a bunch of emotional decisions. I'll prove that in a minute soon. But when you get your car, you're not thinking about mileage, especially when you guys get SUVs. Please, you're not thinking about that then. I mean, consider all the gas that you got to spend and how much money you're going to have to wallet out. I remember back when the gas prices, at least where I lived, was almost $5 a gallon, and people were driving SUVs like crazy. They didn't sell the SUVs; they just kept buying them, driving locally to their job and everything, spending all this money on gas, making these oiler people richer than what they need to be. You're not using any logic or reasoning when you're thinking about your vehicles. You're thinking about the gratification you're going to get with your vehicle.
If you don't have an exorbitant amount of money, it's safe to say that you're likely going to be thinking of some positives to owning a car other than just its flashiness or the gratification that you're going to get from it. Most people do consider the mileage. Most do consider what they may need out of it, if they're going to need to be able to carry a lot of things like a big truck, or if they have a lot of kids and they need to be able to haul them around. We do use logic when it comes to buying a car for the most part. Like I said, maybe except for the people that have just an exorbitant amount of money and they can just buy whatever the hell they want. But this whole line of argumentation from G-Man really isn't going anywhere, so that's all I'm going to say about that.
But let's take it a step further. What about that PS4 and the Xbox One a lot of you bought? Well, you're really thinking about the fact that game depreciates after you buy it. Meaning, if you don't have your receipt, if you lose it somehow, or if you ain't got a warranty or nothing like that, and you play that game one time, the value on that thing goes down.
G-Man fails to realize that a video game is not a car. It does not depreciate value just because it's been taken off the lot or you played it. Yes, it doesn't get the same value at GameStop just because that's how the business operates. It's all about supply and demand. There are games that have been played that are worth more than they used to when the game first came out. They're not the same thing. But secondly, you don't buy a video game like it's a long-term interest, or anything like that. It's not what you get a video game for. You may know that it's either going to have 5 hours or 10 hours or 60 hours if you get a good long RPG. But it's not an investment. It's a video game.
Okay, but there's a certain community out there that will have you believe this. They're called the atheist community. They believe that if they can logic you to death, they can get you to turn your back on Jesus Christ.
I don't know about other atheists. My goal is not to make you turn your back on Jesus. My goal is to make you substantiate your claims and provide a justification for them, especially for when you're telling me that I should believe them.
That doesn't make any logical sense. Like you're Spock or somebody. That's not logical. Yeah. And that's why people make their decisions. No. They know full well a person's going to make a decision. As a matter of fact, the decision that they made to become an atheist wasn't a logical reasoning.
Oh, so it wasn't logical. It wasn't the 200 plus hours that I spent researching on both sides of the argument, watching videos, reading books, reading my Bible, praying, really trying to determine what it is that I thought was a reality and what I should accept. No, it wasn't logical at all.
It wasn't a logical reason. It wasn't because of reasoning, and it wasn't because of the scientific method. It certainly wasn't because of any demonstrable or empirical evidence. Oh, you guys kill me. But anyway, it had nothing to do with that. No, you made an emotional decision. See, this is what happened.
Oh, please, G-Man. Please tell me. Please. We don't have enough strawmans from you today as it is. Please continue.
You got your Bible one day. You opened it up, and you read about Exodus chapter 21. You looked at the global flood, and your little mind could not understand what was going on. And instead of seeking out and getting proper apologetics about what you were reading, what did you do? You made an emotional decision to say that, Mike, I can't believe it. This guy is so immoral. But you repressed it, and you didn't want to show it to anybody. So, time went on. Then you met some logical person who was actually going to say what your itching ears wanted to hear. There's no proof for God. So you decided to run with that and make believe that that's actually the reason why you're an atheist. No, you're an atheist because you think that God is an immoral monster. That is why you're an atheist.
I call bullshit because when I came across things that were contradictory to what I had learned, I didn't just bottle it up. I went and sought it out. I went on to Christian forums, and I went to places like Reddit, and I went on YouTube and watched discussions about it. And at the end of the day, when it came to that, when it came to hearing all of the apologetics and arguments for it, it wasn't satisfying. It didn't add up. It didn't justify the things that seemed contradictory. Now, for me personally, slavery or whatever, it wasn't it wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back. It was hundreds of things, many things that I've read that didn't add up. So to whittle down all of the arguments and all of the reasonings why I don't believe, and just think, oh, it's just one thing that broke me down and it made me become an atheist. No. Sorry.
It has nothing to do because of evidence. And if anybody is doubting that, just have an argument with an atheist based on evidence. They have none. They have no proof that there's no God.
Burden of proof. Fuck it. You're not really listening anyway, so fuck it. Just go on.
It's a bunch of hogwash. It's professional, intellectual dishonesty.
I think they put a little too much hypocrisy in this ice cream. So good though.
That is why these people are the easiest people to review. It's a lot tougher to have these discussions with Muslims, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Mormons.
Yeah, that's because it's a lot harder to argue with someone that can use the same exact line of reasoning that you do.
Let's go down this rabbit hole here. If they made an emotional decision not to become an atheist, do they try to come to us with emotion and not logic and reasoning? I'm going to tell you yes. I had an atheist on my channel by the name of Alex Button who came on my channel, and he tried to tell me that hell was immoral. And guess how he tried to do it? He didn't try to use logic. He didn't try to use reason, because when we actually had that discussion, what we were saying was making total sense. If you can believe in a prison system, then you can believe in a lake of fire, in hell. So that didn't work. So what did he do? He got a video of ISIS burning somebody in a cage. And he tried to get me and other people in the room to appeal to emotion.
To add to the list of terms that G-Man doesn't know how to use, we now have the appeal of emotion fallacy. G-Man doesn't quite understand that an appeal to emotion fallacy replaces a logical argument or something that is justifiable with straight up emotion. Like, what about the kids? Think of the children. Or this person did something, it was evil, he did evil things, basically, like anytime they talk about Hitler. But Alex was trying to point out, hey, this ISIS person was burning this man alive. Wouldn't you agree that this is a bad thing? Why would it not be the same for God? Why would you not think this is evil for God to do? Now, an argument may elicit an emotion, but that is not appealing to emotion.
Because he knows, just like the rest of the other atheists here on YouTube, they all know that these decisions are made based on emotion. And they're trying to sell you their goods. That what they're streaming is, listen, your God is immoral because he shouldn't throw nobody into hell. Get into the details with them. Ask them how much about sin they know about. Ask them, is it morally right for God to do absolutely nothing to people who commit the crimes in the scriptures? And then ask them what their alternatives are and see whether or not what they're saying fits the crime.
When atheists talk with fundamentalist Christians about the punishment fitting the crime, the main point is that our finite crimes, even against an infinite God, do not warrant an eternal punishment in hellfire. How do those add up? How can you compare the two? I mean, down here in the real world, while someone commits a crime such as murder, they get 40 years and a chance to, get back into the system, a chance to make amends if they so choose, to be able to reform. There is no option for that from God. Nope. You sinned. You were born. You get to go to hell. Period. That's it. There is no justification for it. None whatsoever.
What they're talking about is ridiculousness. And they want you to appeal to emotion in order to leave your relationship with Jesus Christ. And mind you, the alternative to what they're giving you isn't very good. They want you to live a life of believing in nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Every once in a while, they put in some bits of straw man in here. Not the best part. I always try and dig around that, but there's so much of it in here that it's hard to get around it sometimes. But you get used to it, though.
Until they indoctrinate you with secularism, humanism, and they get their votes to eventually get one of their atheists in the White House, which will never, ever happen.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Okay? Next year, I got a nice little video I'm going to be putting on YouTube for the entire election period to show people what the odds are of an atheist actually becoming the president of the United States.
Oh, God. G-Man's going to do math. This is going to be so interesting because, we've already seen what he can do with English.
It will never happen. We're going to have a Satanist in office faster than we're going to have When I say a Satanist, I mean somebody who literally believes in Satan. We'll have that in office faster than we have an atheist. I can assure you of that.
How the hell do you justify a statement like a Satanist is going to be president before an atheist is? You think that if a Satanist on his platform, talks about his being a Satanist, that the Christians are going to be like, yeah, whatever, it's fine as long as he's a good president? No. They're already still trying to tell us that Obama is the fucking Antichrist. You think they're going to let the Satanist be a president? How do you think before you talk? Do you have a script when you are making these videos? No, that would be too easy.
Okay. Can you imagine an atheist? I know I'm getting a little bit off topic, but can you imagine an atheist talking to Iraq and Iran about our differences? And disrespecting, mocking, and ridiculing the Islamic faith? I mean, they're going to lead us into world war.
Do you honestly assume that an atheist president or some person dealing with foreign affairs is engaging with people from different countries, different religions, and trying to settle with issues and conflicts in the Middle East or Israel and Palestine and all of these different warring factions and tribes, that in the middle of all of that he's just going to break out the, well, y'all guys are all stupid because you're all believing in a God that doesn't exist?
A lot of times when people go to the altar and they receive Christ as their Savior, this is what happens. They're watching the service and they're going, oh, I'm a friend of God. I'm a friend of God. He calls me friend.
This is an interesting critique as it's coming from somebody that doesn't currently go to church.
Atheism is hatred towards God. It's an emotional outburst towards people. It's an emotional outburst to an immoral God that their make-believing doesn't exist. Because at the end of the day, these people that claim they go by empirical or demonstrable evidence, by the scientific method, knowing full well that you can't prove or disprove God with science, even though they'll come to us with that nonsense, know full well they hate God because they deem him to be immoral.
You know what would be great? If fundamentalist Christians would just accept the fact that we don't believe in God, instead of trying to tell us what it is that we believe. It would be great if they would just one time, just accept that maybe when we're making critiques about God, it's about the character of God that is portrayed in the Bible compared to the characterization that they make of him. That would just make my day.
God is drawing you guys to my channel to watch and listen to what I have to say.
If God is using you to get to us, it must be so that we'll become moderate Christians, because there's no way in hell do I want to be on the same peg as you are.
Because if you guys are really critical thinkers, and no one ever showed you any evidence that God is not real, you would be careful what you say about this God that you might meet in the future, because according to you, he might exist. Don't you think it's a bit stupid to talk about someone that you might actually meet one day?
Well, you talk about Satan all the time, and you try to insult him and talk about his fate, his eventual fate. And you hardly act like a real Christian, so don't you think it's stupid for you to talk about Satan because you probably are going to meet him?
For those of you who heard this and was convicted by this,
G-Man, the only person that can get convicted by your words is you. Especially because you keep admitting about that $3,000 that you kept that didn't belong to you.
I'll end with this. What about your foundation for morality? What is the foundation for your morality? Empathy! Oh, I love it when you guys come to me with that now. You want to know why? Because if you really had empathy, that means, and all that means is that you care about your fellow man.
Now we're going to add the word empathy to the list of terms that G-Man doesn't understand.
Right? So if you care about your fellow man, then why tell Emmanuel that you want to rape her? That you want to put your private parts on her or whatever?
I have no idea who that is, but I'm going to assume the person that said all those things was probably a troll.
Why do what you're trying to do with me and trying to get me to leave YouTube by doing what you're doing right now with yours truly's name?
Oh, G-Man, be quiet. No one gives a shit about your name. By the way, Did you ever find that big red button?
Why do that? You're trying to get me to appeal to emotion. Get me all emotional, mess up my head, and get me to leave. No.
G-Man, you have now used the appeal to emotion fallacy incorrectly twice with two different definitions of it. Please try to do some reading outside of the New Testament.
Guys, you guys aren't critical thinkers. I am.
Just so I can steal something from Armored Skeptic. No.
And Alex Biden, I got a little message for you, sir. I'm 3 videos ahead of you. Okay? So, and I'm just going to put that there anyway. I think Ray Campbell spelled it out pretty good for me.
Oh good, you finally asked somebody to help you out with your grammar. I have one last thought before I go, folks. G-Man, pretty much throughout the entire video, tried to make it sound like everything was an emotional response. All of our decisions were based on emotion. You know, we buy cars or video games or, or anything. It was based on emotion. That we became atheists out of emotion. So, it doesn't really surprise me that G-Man doesn't really think about the implications of his words. But, when I first heard this, I thought, well, wait a minute. If everything is, based on emotion, wouldn't this also mean that becoming a Christian was based on emotion? So that's it, folks. This is the Atheist Shaft signing off. Peace.
Based on demonstrable and empirical evidence. They use a scientific method. That's how they come to the conclusion that something is real or not real.
Yeah, that's about right.
Or something is true or isn't true.
Okay, yeah. Still with you.
Or whether or not they like vanilla or whether or not they like chocolate.
Wait. Sorry, what? Say that again?
Or whether or not they like vanilla or whether or not they like chocolate.
Yeah. That's what I thought I heard.
And I'm going to prove that in a minute, okay? First and foremost, let's consider something. Let's talk about that ice cream cone of vanilla and chocolate.
I bet you I can guess what G-Man's favorite flavor is.
When you go to the store, do you consider everything about the ice cream cone? About whether or not you're like, please, you're not thinking about that then. I mean, consider all the gas that you got to spend and how much money you got to have to wallet out. I remember back when the gas prices, at least where I lived, was almost $5 a gallon, and people were driving SUVs like crazy. They didn't sell the SUVs; they just kept buying them, driving locally to their job and everything, spending all this money on gas, making these oiler people richer than what they need to be. You're not using any logic and reasoning when you're thinking about your vehicles. You're thinking about the gratification you're going to get with your vehicle.
If you don't have an exorbitant amount of money, it's safe to say that you're likely going to be thinking of some positives to owning a car other than just its flashiness or the gratification that you're going to get from it.
Lactose intolerant. When you get that craving for ice cream, do you go shopping for that ice cream or that brand based on how much milk they put in it versus cream versus sugar? Do you go do that considering how much weight you will gain if you actually buy some ice cream? No, you don't.
If this is what G-Man means by using logic when buying ice cream, I really don't think he understands what logic is.
You're making an emotional decision when you go about buying that ice cream.
Now I think he doesn't understand what emotional means either.
Because when you get that craving for that ice cream, it's going to be because of past memories, not because of your research or how bad ice cream is. It's going to go based on past memories of how good that chocolate and vanilla
I can't see what your hat says.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Preaching to the Choir Ministries. And today we're going to talk about how people make their decisions in life. If you listen to the secular community or the atheist community, a lot of them will tell you that the way they make their decisions is because of logic and reasoning. They make their decision ice cream taste.
G-Man has a point, because this chocolate atheist is delicious. I can taste the hypocrisy in like every bite. Oh god, so good.
But that's not all. When you go out there and you go shop for your new car, granted, I can't say all of you are like this, but most of you, when you get a car, you want something, especially when you're young, you want something that's gonna look good, you know, to the young ladies or if you're a lady, maybe to the men in your family. You know what I mean? I guess women are, and then again, they make a bunch of emotional decisions. I'll prove that in a minute soon. But when you get your car, you're not thinking about mileage, especially when you guys get SUVs.